In that case, I would like to call to order the May 4th, 2026 Committee of the Whole Regular Board Meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you are able.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone joining us this evening, both in person and those joining remotely. The board held an executive session on April 20th regarding personnel, real estate, and a student matter, and just prior to this meeting regarding personnel and a legal matter. Board members with the agenda before you, do you have any changes? In that case, I would like to call on the board secretary to conduct a roll call of board members.
Dr. Anderson?
Here.
Dr. Bader?
Here.
Dr. Barlow?
Here.
Ms. Black?
Here.
Dr. Demo?
Here.
Ms. Damaris?
Here.
Ms. Huff?
Here.
Dr. Lozon?
Here.
Dr. Miller?
Here. Thank you, Lynn. As we begin the month of May, I would like to take a moment to recognize several important observances that hold meaning for our schools and our community. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, a time to elevate the importance of mental wellness for our students, staff, and families. Across the country, initiatives aimed at raising awareness help bring greater visibility to mental health and remind us of the importance of compassion, support, and access to resources for all. May is also National Military Appreciation Month, a time to honor the dedication and sacrifice of the men and women who serve and have served in the United States Armed Forces. We're especially grateful for the military members and families within our own community for their service and commitment. In addition, May is Jewish American Heritage Month, which recognizes and celebrates the many contributions Jewish Americans have made to our nation's history, culture, and progress. It is an opportunity for learning, reflection, and appreciation of the diversity that strengthens our community. On behalf of the board, we acknowledge these important observances, and we encourage our community to take time this month to reflect, learn, and show support in meaningful ways. At this time, I would like to recognize Christina Weaver, who will be retiring June 5th, 2026, after 42 years with the district. Christina spent her entire SCASD career working for food services. Megan Shaper, the Director of Food Services, described Chrissy as patient and kind with an incredible work ethic. This school year marks Chrissy Weaver's 42nd year working for SCASD in the food service department. Just a year after beginning her new part-time job, she was promoted to be the head cook in the high school. In 2018, Chrissy made the move to Mount Nittany Middle School and has worked as the head cook in that kitchen. Chrissy is truly a colleague that everyone wants to work with. Chrissy maintains high standards and takes pride in preparing and serving food that students will enjoy. She has been an incredible asset to the food services program, and she embodies the heart of this program. She fully deserves a leisurely and happy retirement. We agree. The board thanks Chrissy for her service and wishes her all the best in retirement. This time I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Johnson to give the superintendent update.
Thank you. Today marks the beginning of a Teacher Appreciation Week, and I can't think of a better way to start the meeting than to share some announcements about our amazing faculty. I hope our entire school community joins me in celebrating our teachers and staff this week. Congratulations to our two outstanding SCASD elementary teachers on being recognized at State College Magazine Teacher of the Year. Lonnie Cadella, third grade teacher at Ferguson Township Elementary School, and Matthew Burns, who teaches fifth grade at Easterly Parkway Elementary, have both been honored. This recognition is a testament to their hard work and dedication to their students, colleagues, and our families. We're proud to have you representing our district. Park Forest Middle School teacher Tim Zerko has been named Pennsylvania TSA Middle School Advisor of the Year. Tim, a technology education teacher and TSA Club Advisor, was named the Middle School Advisor of the Year at the 48th Annual Pennsylvania TSA State Championships. Music teacher Melanie Komlinek was recently honored with a prestigious regional award for her impact in the classroom. Melanie, who teaches music at Grays Woods and Spring Creek Elementary Schools, received the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association District 4 Citation of Excellence during the PMEA All-State Conference. And again, another testament to our great teachers. For the 13th consecutive year and the 22nd time since 2000, the district has received one of the best communities for music education in America designations from the National Association of Music Merchants. The State High Library Program received 2026 Outstanding Pennsylvania School Library Award from Pennsylvania School Librarians Association last week at the organizational's annual conference. The award recognizes school libraries that demonstrate outstanding programming, instruction, and services aligned with the AASL National School Library Standards. Congratulations to librarians Mark Morath and Ellen Stolarski for receiving this honor. I'm very proud of having these outstanding faculty members representing our district. Last Friday, the Skazzy Education Foundation held its Maroon and Gray banquet to honor notable alumni. At the event, we recognized 1986 state championship softball team, 2016 boys and girls track and field teams, Mel Curtis, anti-hunger program director, YMCA of Center County, Patricia Schaffner, retired teacher, and Joseph Smith, 54, artist and illustrator. All proceeds from the foundation go directly to supporting our students, faculty, and staff. And on that note, Center Gives begins Wednesday, so I encourage our community to consider donating to the Education Foundation during that campaign. And that's my announcements.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I would now like to call on State High Student Representative Celeste Van Ness to provide us this evening's student update.
Thank you. Prior to tonight's meeting, we welcomed members of our State High girls swimming and diving team who recently won state championships. State High's Molly Workman capped a historic career by winning 4 gold medals during the PIAA Class 3A Girls Swimming and Diving Championships and was named Swimmer of the Meet for her efforts. The 200 relay of Isla Reet, Ellen Woodruff, Molly Stanar, and Workman also won gold. And of course, the 400 relay of Ellen Woodruff, Isla Reet, Gabby Siekman, and Workman also won gold. Congratulations to these student athletes and to the coaches, Aaron and Jamie Workman. Students from State High German classes competed against schools across Pennsylvania at Penn State's annual German Day event. State High claimed a third-place school award, and individual students also won prizes for competitions such as spelling bees, poetry recitation, and writing competitions and art. Congratulations to everybody who competed. Congratulations to SCASD students who competed in the 2026 WPSU Poetry Writing Contest. Park Forest Middle School 8th grader Evelyn Morath won first place in grades 6 to 8 division with her poem titled Parental Pruning. Congratulations to Park Forest Middle School 7th grader Adeline Butler for her second place finish in the National Civics Bee Regional Competition. This second place finish qualifies Adeline to compete in the state level of the Bee. The Park Forest Middle School Technology Student Association, TSA team, earned 5 state championships at the 48th Annual Pennsylvania TSA State Championships. First places went to Digital Photography, Lincoln Santini, Chapter Team Business Meeting, Abby Chow, Sophia Chen, Henry Flango, Lulu Hudson, Braden Lencher, and Serena Tian, System Control Technology, Lincoln Santini, Henry Flango, and Nathan Wong, Technical Design, Serena Zhao, and Oliver Zhao. Technology Bowl, written portion to Braden Lencher. Our high school TSA members had a great trip to their state convention with 13 championship teams. First places went to Architectural Design, Kai Leonard and David Ulmer. Children's Stories, Vanessa Wiesman. Coding, Benny Gillis and Ryanesh Giri. Data Science and Analytics, Melinda Wu and Leo Wang. Fashion Design and Technology, Maggie Gillis, Tara Gopalan, and Madison Merkle Yano, and Bianca Kenpari. Future Technology and Engineering teacher, Natalie Brandstetter. Manufacturing prototype, Riaz Giri, Benny Gillis, Eric Liu, Maggie Gillis, and Rianesh Giri. Software development, Max Cooper, Eric Liu, Sergey Zhandov, and structural design and engineering, Riaz Giri, Scott Isbell. Technology Bowl, Sam Nevada, Vince Gurponi, and Vanessa Wiesman. VR simulation, Benny Gillis and Maggie Gillis. Webmaster, Aparna Arend, Sunjun Choi, Tara Goplin, Carter Hanford, Esther Dwan, and Sophia Sedal. And chapter team written, Sunjun Choi. Our Park Forest Middle School Science Olympiad team proudly represented the school district at the Pennsylvania Science Olympiad State Competition. Among the highlights were 2 top 10 finishes. 8th grade students Julian Nolan and Askar Koshin earned an impressive 8th place finish in the Write It, Do It WIDI event. Additionally, Hiro Murakami and Bryce Gorley secured 10th place and Blumenlever. 7 Delta Middle School students participated in the Regional Math 24 competition. This year's 6th grade champion was Sasha Kadetsky. Congratulations, Sasha.
Thank you, Celeste. Jackie, do you have any legislative matters to report?
I sure do, just a couple. So on April 28th, the House Committee of the Pennsylvania Legislature passed the bell-to-bell cell phone ban out of committee. They did make an amendment that made it a little more lenient for teachers to get exceptions with advance notice. So that will now move on to the House, which is the last step before it goes to the governor's desk. Today was actually the PSBA Advocacy Day. I was not able to attend, but they did focus on 3 issues, and those were relief from costly and burdensome mandates. So like talking to our legislators about some of those mandates they have that they don't fund, school infrastructure, and state funding / impact of budget impasses. So why it's important for our legislators to pass a budget on time, and also they give a nod to the over-reliance on local funding across the state. Jesse and I will be attending the PA School Works Advocacy Day on Wednesday. We'll be talking with Senator Dush as well as Representative Conklin, so we look forward to that as well.
All right. Thank you. Jesse, do you have any updates from COG?
Yes. COG had a meeting last Monday. Really passed 2 items of note. One was a resolution designating May as Bike Month. I should note that the center region, which mostly overlaps with the school district, has a silver rating, I believe, is a bike-friendly region, and State College Borough actually has a gold rating. So this is a great month for biking, and there's some wonderful bike trails around here. They also did approved an Act 37 study for a sewage facility for the Meeks Lane pump station in Patton Township, and this might allow them to eliminate some pumping stations. And that was more or less all that happened at that meeting.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jesse. We now have time for public comment. Each individual will be allotted up to 3 minutes for items related to board business that are not on a consent or action item for this evening. For those items, public comment will be held just prior to voting on that item. Please state your name and where you reside in the district. Is there anyone registered here who would like to make a public comment this evening? Go right ahead. If you could come up to the mic and tell us your name and where you reside in the district.
Hello. My name is Ellen Doherty. I'm a Half Moon Township resident. And I'm here for public comment because I'm also the parent of 2 students who have benefited from the Elementary Virtual Academy program, or EVA, over the past few years. And I'm here to ask you to stay the decision to close EVA for at least 1 year to allow for a thorough program assessment. As an active EVA parent, I believe that there are a number of options that could be explored to make and keep EVA viable. I also strongly believe that doing so would be to the betterment of the entire school district. How so? EVA faculty developed innovative best practices that are so effective that they were well positioned to become a gold standard, not just for other SCASD programs, but for educational programs outside of SCASD as well. However, the district wasn't really aware of what it had, and as a result, EVA was undervalued, ineffectively marketed, and eventually discarded. What we've lost as a result is truly heartbreaking. In EVA, each student is seen as a whole person, one with unique gifts and unique needs, not just a diagnosis, an accommodation, or a special service request. And this is why EVA students shine. It's why they thrive. It's why they demonstrate incredible confidence and citizenship. Unfortunately, the message that I've received is that the closure of EVA is not really up for discussion. However, even if that's the case, there's still a conversation to be had about what went wrong here, with the goal of using those lessons learned to improve the experience of faculty, families, and students in the future. So, 3 issues. Issue 1, the need for more transparency. Despite searching school board videos of meetings, talking to administration, I'm still unclear on when and how the decision to close EVA was made. And if there had been sufficient transparency along the way, this wouldn't still be such a giant question mark. Issue 2, the need for partnership with key stakeholders. Parents were unaware this was even being considered until mid-April, when the final decision to close EVA had already been made. And as EVA parents serve as learning coaches for our students, the fact that there was no communication with us along the way is particularly problematic. Issue 3, the need for more thorough transition planning. The usual stuff that comes up during an average week for administration, faculty, families, results in transition planning realistically taking some time. For example, despite everyone's good faith efforts, it has been 3 weeks so far, and we still have no finalized plans for my daughter for next year. In summary, I believe that because there was a gross misunderstanding of what the program was providing, there was a gross miscalculation of what it would take to effectively transition EVA students into alternative learning environments. The timeline was simply unrealistic, and it's caused disorganization and unnecessary distress for families. And as a result, I ask again that you stay the decision to close EVA for at least a year, to allow for a thorough program assessment and, if needed, more timely and meaningful transition planning. I also ask that as part of that assessment, you give the EVA community the opportunity to talk with you in detail about our experiences and our perspectives. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else here who would like to make a public comment? Come on up and tell us your name and where you reside in the district.
Good evening. My name is Shay McGowan, and I am speaking as the president of the State College Area Education Association. I reside in Patton Township. The State College Area School District is passionate about empowering every student every day with individualized opportunities for growth and success in a connected world. Those are the words on the district's website used to introduce our mission and the district's elementary virtual academy, EVA, as the children in the program call it, which covers grades K through 7, is one of the clearest examples that brings those compelling words to life. The district provides a wide range of critical support resources for students and families, including the Student Pathway Center, MTSS, Gifted Education, and Special Education, to name a few. Our Delta schools similarly offers an alternative learning pathway that emphasizes community and engagement. EVA is yet another district alternative pathway serving a unique population of individuals. Decisions about participation vary, including distrust of traditional systems, unique medical or family issues, or for various reasons, a sense of marginalization. EVA is a flexible learning environment that combines online and in-person learning and is supplemented by various learning-connected activities. Environment that combines online and in-person learning and is supplemented by various learning-connected activities and efforts such as twice-monthly gatherings, virtual and in-person field trips, guest visitors and meeters, projects that involve collaborating with community members and organizations, and unique celebrations of learning. In effect, EVA combines the best parts of a charter school, smaller class size, flexible learning methods, aspects of hybrid learning, and the power of SCASD's curriculum, experienced faculty, staff, and educational opportunities. The district's recent and very unexpected decision to eliminate EVA, effective with the 26-27 academic year, overlooks this population of students and families who rely on this delivery model and risks losing students and families who might otherwise remain within the district. On behalf of SCAA, I would encourage you to re-examine the decision to eliminate this unique program, or at least pause for a year to allow for a more thoughtful transition plan that focuses on the needs of each student and family. We urge the board and district to consider how success is defined and supported across all student populations, to remain flexible in how those supports are delivered, and to ensure that decisions to eliminate programs are not made without meaningful dialogue and collaboration among all stakeholders. Additionally, this decision closes the door on providing elementary students with an opportunity enjoyed by secondary students, creating a potential inequity in service. In closing, are we truly demonstrating a passion for empowering every student every day through individualized opportunities for growth and success in a connected world? Or are we unintentionally limiting the promise for students whose needs fall outside the traditional learning model? Thank you.
For your comment. Is there anyone online?
No.
Okay. Is anyone else in person who would like to make a public comment this evening? No one online? All right. In that case, we are moving on to the Committee of the Whole portion of our agenda. We'll start with Culture, Climate, and Learning Committee, and first we are going to be joined by Christine Merritt, Tyler Constable, Carrie-Ann Cesario, Jessica James, and Amanda Showers to provide a report on the new textbook request for 2026-2027.
Thank you.
They're online.
Okay, all right, good. I wondered.
Online,
All
yeah.
5 of you.
My
Yes.
posse is online.
Wonderful.
So thank you. This year we have a larger than normal set of textbook requests to bring to you. There are 9, mainly due to the age of the materials, kind of falling apart, poor condition, or just really aged out. Change in the College Board's CED, it's College and Exam Description Framework. So we want textbooks that match the change in the framework. And in one case, or 2 cases, licenses have run out, so we need to renew them. So I can run through them really quickly and give you a quick rationale. The cover sheets are attached at the bottom, so you can take a look at them. Advanced Chem 2, the last book was purchased in 2002. So we're looking for 72 books there, and they are fairly expensive, but as you can see, we get a lot of mileage out of these books. Advanced Math Topics, the current book is 30 years old. Again, we can find books that have some more current examples and things like that that kids would certainly use. 40 books plus a 6-year digital license. The next one is Advanced Placement Statistics, because they have a new CED. It's the new framework from the College Board. 130 digital licenses, and they would like 10 hardcover books to have available just in the classroom for those who need it. Earth System Science, the current textbook is from 2006. They're looking at 100 books there, plus 215 6-year licenses. So the 100 books are for classroom sets, so that when they're in the classroom, they could use the book or the online license. Advanced Earth System Science, 100 books plus 215 6-year licenses again. That book was published in 2018. Our licenses have all expired for Earth System Science, so we're in need of some additional things there. AP Comparative Government, this text was built, the textbook was actually built for the new CED framework. It's been a considerable amount of time, I would say probably 15 years since we purchased an AP Gov book, and they're looking for 30 books, a class set. AP Environmental, which is a new course that you all approved in the fall, and we would like 25 one-year licenses and we will be bringing that back. But we also know that they're changing the framework next year. So we don't want to commit to a 5-year book and then not like it. So we only want 1 year of a license for that course, that new course, to get us through this year, and then they will reevaluate next year and bring either the same recommendation or a new book to meet the CED for that course. And then the last two are renewals of our world language online resource, and for French, German, and Spanish at the middle school. French and Spanish only. Grades 6, 7, 8. It's 1,080 students, 3-year license, and then renewal for Spanish 1. It's the same resource. It's for 140 students for 3-year license. The reason that's a 3-year license is we're thinking that world language would be moving into the curriculum phase at that point, and they might be reevaluating that and might want a different resource at that time. So you can see there's a mix of online and physical books. It just really depends on the nature of the course, how the books are being used. You're going to hear me say just one last time before I retire that the textbooks are not our curriculum. They're just a resource. There's no textbook practically that we've ever found that does it all for us. So we are supplementing things all the time with the newest research. So please don't be alarmed that some of these books are 30 years old. Teachers have had to do a lot of work to get more modern examples and things like that. So those are the 9 requests. So we would like to have them on display for about 30 days, as we usually do, and then we will ask for board approval in June so that we can purchase them July 1 and have them configured or stamped and processed and ready to go for the start of school in mid-August.
Okay. Questions? Go ahead, Jesse.
I just want to say make a couple of comments. One is that, yeah, whenever I myself have taught a course, the longer I taught it, the more often it departed from the textbook. And I suspect that'll be the experience that you'll have with these. And I look at all these classes and I wish I could have taken them, a lot of them. They're really, really kind of cool. And how much do they expect the environmental science course to change next year?
So I haven't looked at, I don't know what the new framework is going to be yet until they publish it. So I don't know what it's the way it is now for 1 more year. Mm-hmm. And then they'll publish the changes sometime next year for the following year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that, is it just a routine review, or are they?
It depends. Some AP classes really changed the content. AP Government, for example, completely changed their framework. They were a country-based, 4 countries, basically. They would study and compare them to the U.S. government. They've changed that framework completely. So it's now not just based on 4 countries. So it really depends on the course and the content. Mm-hmm. That's an area I could see them changing a little more frequently as we have more renewable energy and more technology that's developed in various areas. I could see that changing as well.
Well, that's changed a lot in the last few years.
It has, yeah. So I really can't speak to how the College Board is going to change the framework, but usually 5 to 6 years, sometimes longer and sometimes shorter. Mm-hmm. Some other courses have changed multiple times in the 3 years since they've started. So it really varies.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm curious about if there are currently OER resources being used at the school. I guess when I was reading through this, I was thinking particularly to the AP. You mentioned a couple times about the changing frameworks, and what level of OER resources are being used by the faculty right now?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. We use OER resources quite a lot. In our core biology program, which also is a Keystone course, we use an open resource. OER is open educational resource, and it's free. We use free resources in many of our history classes as well. So when we find a really good one that we're confident won't change or go behind a paywall in a year, we use those. And we use them quite a bit for supplementation
Yep.
of any book that we have. Yes.
Is there continued maybe faculty development surrounding OER resources and how to incorporate these? I mean, because I think the thing that I get concerned when I see all of this, because I deal with textbook publishers all the time, is these licenses that are going to expire in 3 years, 6 years. So is there ongoing faculty development around how to incorporate these things to deal with that kind of thing?
I would say we could probably use more of that, but there are conversations about that. And when they can find, again, a really good OER source, then we're going to use it. We found a really great one for biology, but other content areas, especially ones related to like an AP type exam, it's a delicate balance because they want to follow what the kids are going to be tested on. Not all kids have to take the test, but if they're in the class, they should have a fighting chance. So they want to make sure that they're following the guidelines and the objectives that the AP College Board sets out. So it's just a balance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Deb?
I just had a quick question on the Advanced Chemistry 2 book. Its copyright is 2017, which is an improvement over 2002.
Yes.
But like, are we anticipating, I don't know how often they do a new Advanced Chemistry textbook. Like, are they, for that expense, we're hoping they're going to last another 20 or 30 years. But if they're planning to make a new edition next year.
It's hard to say. We don't always know when the next edition is coming out.
Right.
Sometimes they think they're going to bring one out and they don't. So, but that was the newest one they found that they felt really met what they were looking for. But I understand but the last one was 30 years old and it held up for 30 years. So it has a lot of the really core content that's not changing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the examples are a little bit
Dated. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
You guys? Other questions or comments? I did have one thing I wanted to ask. You mentioned them being on display for 30 days. Where are they, like, what is that process? Like, where are they displayed?
So if anyone would like to review them, they can make an appointment with the curriculum office, and we'll have the books available. If it's an online only, we have to get a special code from the publisher in order to make that available. But we will do that.
Great, thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone online. Chris Merritt will now be joined by Danielle Yoder and Jonathan Bucher to provide us with an overview of the 2026-2027 assessment plan.
Thanks. So every year, this is kind of a routine approval. According to Policy 127, we bring the district's assessment plan to the board for approval, and it is posted on our website as well. And the assessment plan you have tonight is the complete list of assessments that all students take. What you will not see on there are things that are optional, like an AP or a NOCD exam, because students might take an AP class, but they're not required to take the AP test. It's optional. So the things on the plan are things that all students take. Keystone exams, for example, PSSA exams, some of our screeners, PAYS, and things like that. So as you can see, we've listed the assessment, the purpose of the assessment, what's measured, the time frame it's given in, and the approximate time it takes for students to take each assessment. It looks in totality like we test students every single week on everything, but if you look, it's by grade. Some things are in certain grades. So the document is a comprehensive list of our required assessments. Okay, so if you have questions, we're happy to answer them, but we will ask for board approval on that in the future.
Okay, start over here. Nope.
I do want to mention that district team is looking at a new universal screener, but we are not close to making a recommendation. If we change from Acadience to another universal screener, it would of course come to the board for approval first anyway, and for the money to purchase that. So just wanted to point that out. It was in the memo, but I wanted to say that.
Okay. Deb, go ahead.
I think I've said this in previous years, so I'm just going to say it again for whatever it's worth. For our mostly 8th grade students, maybe a couple of 7th grade students in advanced math who are taking the Keystone, I think it's too many exams in the spring. And I know they have to take the Keystone, and you would take it in the year that you take algebra, and they have to take the PSSA. So in my opinion, I would not make them take the MAP in that spring. I understand the purpose of the MAP, but it's just so much testing.
I can share that the same thing is coming up in 5th grade, although they don't have the Keystone. We've heard a lot in the past 2 weeks because science is now in 5th grade also.
Yeah.
And there has been asked. So I think that's something, Chris won't be here, but we could certainly talk about this summer with different planning teams because they have tested, the last 2 solid weeks and now have further testing. With 5th grade, there's also items that are not on here for kids who qualify for advanced math placement too. So, I mean, I think we're definitely willing to take a look at that and see how do we have to have that spring assessment, or could we just look at fall and spring data for MAP?
I think that's wise, and thank you for bringing up the 5th grade because I hadn't thought of that group as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It would mean that we would not receive a growth score if they don't take the 3rd MAP test. So I'm just pointing that out. So
And
we're
I get
paying
that.
for that test.
For the particular group of students that I brought up in particular, I don't think that growth score is telling us very much.
I don't disagree.
And I don't know if the same is true for the full group of 5th grade students that Danielle brought up, but certainly for the ones who are maybe thinking about testing into the advanced math, maybe it's the same argument. I don't know. I would not presume to be able to answer that, but I definitely think for those 8th grade kids who were taking the Keystone,
It's a lot, yeah.
it's a lot. Thanks.
I agree. Yep.
Other questions? Oh, yeah, go right ahead.
Just more of a comment kind of on the exact same thing. So I was an advanced math student, and an experience that I had, and I assume that a lot of other kids are going to be having, is with that 8th grade testing, that kind of spring amp up is pretty good at teaching you what high school is going to look like. A lot of the first couple of months of high school are very high stress testing, specifically in a math environment. I'm not a math kid. I don't love math. But I think kind of the testing that you go through in that spring of 8th grade teaches you a lot about managing testing going into high school. So I think for that specific group of students, I think that's also something to take into account, that it is learning to grow in that way, because unfortunately standardized testing is a part of what we do here in this district. And so learning, to take those skills and apply them as you get more and more tests, and have that be a little bit less sharp of an introduction into high school.
All right, thank you. Questions, comments? No? Going once, going twice? All right. Thank you all for joining us. We will now move on to the Finance Committee. I'd like to invite Randy Brown and Joe Vigileone to provide an update on the 2026-2027 budget development process.
Good evening. As Joe gets set up, he has just a few slides that he wants to highlight for you this evening. We are, I don't think there's very many, if any, changes from the last time we made a presentation for you. But at this point, we're just nearing the end of our budget cycle. There'll be a budget hearing prior to the next board meeting. And then we'll be looking for final budget approval. So, Joe, are you ready?
I am. I always end up getting my hand on the wrong side of this, so we'll try to go through our notes the wrong way on this. So, for the key items for this budget, the state property tax reduction allocation actually came out, and we got the information earlier this week, or on Friday. It's approximately the same as last year. The average taxpayer impact will be shown later on in this slide, along with this information regarding the supplemental property tax rebate. We'll give you some more information on charter school funding the status of capital reserve, capital projects, and the health insurance funds, as well as the next steps within the budget process. The next few slides are reiterations, no changes from the last time we presented to you guys in late April. And that is the revenue as well as the expenditures and the fund balance roll forward. So the changes in projected expenses, again, we're reiterating the positions being added and proposed for the 26-27 budget year. And we also want to mention that the supplemental property tax rebate will remain at $115,000 for fiscal year 27, the same level as fiscal year 26. If you remember correctly, last year we increased it from $100,000 to $115,000 based upon the volume of rebates that were coming in. As of April 30th, we were at $84,000 in rebates that have been paid for the 25-26 year, so we seem to be still in line with where we have budgeted for. The next is the distribution of expenses for a 10-year history. This is the object code for this distribution of expenses. As you can see, year to year, there's a variability between debt service and transfers. Salaries and benefits, they from 2016 to 2025 have remained about 2/3 of the budget, but you can see the distribution has changed in between salaries versus benefits, especially healthcare and PSERS as those have risen. On the functional expense side, you can see it has remained largely consistent, but it is variable year to year based on other factors. The lower percentage in 2025, a lot of that is pertaining to the one-time monies we have talked about in fiscal year 25 that really bumped up that were unanticipated, such as a larger real estate transfer tax, the later than anticipated state aid, which had a bump, as well as the interim real estate taxes. Charter school attendance, as you can see, the top line is your regular ed, which has had a substantial decrease. The bottom line is your special ed number of students. And you can see since 2018-2019, there has been about a 20% decline in enrollment in charter schools as compared to the levels that they were 7 years ago through 24-25 versus 2018-2019. In terms of the tuition rates, you can see they followed each other, and they have been increasing with each year as a percentage of the district budget. And you can see in fiscal year 25-26 for the first time, brick and mortar versus cyber charter school rates were different, and they were changed. So the 26-27, this slide is showing you the taxpayer impact to the change. So if you look at the average property, you can see the impact in the tax increase is about $134. And then you can see within the estimated, based upon if the value was $50,000, the assessed value of your property is $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, or the median assessed value. The final slide is the non-general fund financials that we've taken through the first 8 months of fiscal year 26. I'd like to call your attention to Fund 22 Capital Reserve. You will see the spend down with the expenses associated with the Mount Nittany Elementary School and Park Forest Middle School projects. And then in the Insurance Reserve Fund, you've seen a slight decrease in terms of expenses. That balanced out, or fund balance, expenses were slightly higher than the revenues were. That sort of balanced out during the month of February into March. So we seem to be on balance with health insurance and where we anticipated it would have been. So it doesn't seem to be like a very high fluctuation year, whether well under it with expenses or well over. And then we're into the next steps. May 11th, the district, this is a staff step, will publish a notice of intent to adopt the final budget. May 18th will be the board meeting and budget hearing on the final budget, and then the actions on June 1st, which are adopting the final budget, the homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution, the annual tax levy, as well as the installment payment plan resolution. From there, the budget will be closed out and we'll start auditing.
All right.
Do we have any questions?
Questions?
Jesse.
Oh, Jesse, go ahead.
Just one question and one comment. I'm looking here on slide 8, and looks like a jump in debt service, or is that transfers? That green dotted line?
Yes.
is what accounts for that?
That's where I was speaking to. In fiscal year '25, we received a lot of one-time dollars that were unexpected.
Okay.
The interim real estate taxes, the real estate transfer taxes, as well as a bump up in state aid because the state did not pass their budget in a timely manner. And then when the budget was passed, the amount of basic state aid was much higher than the prior year. And since we did not have the numbers to utilize at the beginning of the year, in our budget process, we had to assume a flat budget because we did not have that information.
Okay, I just wanted to add a comment. I made some back of the envelope computations last night, and I looked at the tax increase that I got last year from SCASD and from the borough, and actually in sheer numbers, the SCASD increase for me was $97.04. The borough increase was $107.88. So maybe that'll happen again this year. I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, other questions, comments about the budget? All right. In that case, we will move on to the capital financing plan. Randy and Joe are now going to be joined by Tom Beckett on Autumn Cho of NW Financial Group, LLC. That is not Northwest, it's NW. To review the financing of the Mountain Indian Elementary School and Park Forest Middle School projects.
We also have Jean from Bank of America Merrill Lynch along with us as well this evening. So this is your finance team that supports our financial endeavors, and they're here tonight to talk about financing for our Park Forest Middle School project, which hopefully later in this meeting you will be accepting those bids. So I'll let Tom kick things off.
Thank you, Randy. I want to start by introducing my colleague Autumn Chu, who keeps me focused and runs my numbers these days, and she is amazing, and this is her first time out in central Pennsylvania. And I'd also like to thank Gene Spinelli, who's been your underwriter from B of A, for coming tonight. This team has put together and has done a whole bunch of analysis over the last several years and over the last several months on what the best way to progress in financing Park Forest Middle School. And what we're going to show you tonight is, I think, scenario 21 that we've done. And your administration keeps us running. So to that extent, you're going to see the things that were included in the memo that was shared with you from my office, and this presentation that's up on the board. They're identical. Some of the words are the same. To that end, I'll start going through here, and I'm going to rely on Gene Spinelli as well to jump in at a few occasions here. But let's go to the top. Okay. So overview, we have existing debt of $234 million outstanding. One of the key components of that is your $79 million referendum debt that was done in 2015. Key thing to remember is different revenue stream secures that. And so we have to be cognizant when we structure the amortization of the Park Forest Middle School that revenue source goes away when those bonds go away. So we can't have some sort of jump in the debt service without corresponding millage to take care of it. So that's included in this plan of finance. The new money project, when we do a financing for the first time for a school, we call it a new money project because it's not a refunding or anything else. And we're talking primarily, but not exclusively, about Park Forest Middle School at this point. We have for quite some time been looking ahead. I think Randy has been talking about Park Forest Middle School project since I came here in 2014. We have to leave room for the Park Forest Middle School project. And so we did leave room in your debt service schedule for this project, and now we're going to fill that up to pay for Park Forest Middle School. You'll see how that works in a moment. We're also going to split that new money into two pieces. That saves you some interest cost over time in exchange for a modest amount of rate risk. We think it breaks nicely into a project, a financing of about $65 million or so for Park Forest now, and a similar sized financing in early 2028. So it's not quite done yet. The other thing is your referendum bonds themselves are currently callable, which means you can retire them in from their investors at 100 cents on the dollar and issue new bonds at lower rates. That's called a current refunding, and we're going to have a separate series of bonds, separately identifiable, because we have that revenue source that applies just to those. If it saves money, and it does right now, we will include that in this issuance this summer. That is currently generating about $3.5 million of net present value savings. So that'll go back to the taxpayer in the form of reduced millage for that referendum bond piece. So next one, there we go. This is a picture of your existing debt service net of the referendum debt. As you can see, it steps down a bit. This includes the referendum debt service, which is the blue bars there. The remaining gray bars are the rest non-referendum debt service. We can go to the next one, Joe. We can skip over this. If you have any questions on this wordy slide, it's also in your package. Feel free to ask them. But this just lists our assumptions that we use that underline our financial analysis. You've probably seen this before a couple times. All right, Gene, I'll let you do this because this is really you.
Sure. So here on slide 4, looking at the new money plan of finance, and we looked at this a couple different ways. We looked at it as doing one issue, this summer to fund all the Park Forest needs, versus looking at it split up into two different transactions, as Tom alluded to. And the advantages of doing the two transactions is that you're going to borrow some of the money now, but then you'll save on the interest costs that you're not, that you're borrowing for now, but not using the money for almost 2 years. The other advantage is that in 2028, when you're ready to do that second issue, there will be the opportunity to refinance other existing debt that is going to come ready under tax law for refinancing. So, this two-issue plan seems to work well. It provides flexibility. It provides you some interest cost savings, and as Tom said, a modest amount of interest rate risk in terms of obviously we don't know where rates are going to be in 2028, but to sort of do half of it now, take some savings associated with not issuing now and incurring interest costs on money that you're really not using for a couple of years, seems worth it. So this slide sort of breaks out the sizing for the two transactions. As Tom said, the Park Forest, the first deal is about almost 72 million in funding, which is about 66 million in terms of bonds, and then the second issue is about 62 million in costs, which is about 57 million in bonds. And you'll see at the bottom, the chart, you have the gray bars of the existing debt service that Tom had talked about, and then the maroon bars show that first bond issue. So what we're doing there is wrapping that first bond issue in terms of debt service around your existing debt. So you'll have level debt service going all the way out to 2051. So that's an equal burden on today's taxpayer and the one that may not buy a home here until 2046. And then that second issue we'll just layer a transaction and debt service right on top of that. So, that's kind of the structure that, as Tom said, might have been scenario 21 that we felt made the most sense, and we certainly have talked about it with Randy and Joe.
Thanks, Gene. Can you go to the page 6? Next one. There we go. So for financing in 2026, we're going to propose doing half of Park Forest Middle School, as Gene just outlined, wrapping around your existing non-referendum debt service. We're also proposing issuing about $50 million to refund those 2015 referendum bonds, and it saves you approximately $4.1 million PV, or roughly $350,000 a year through maturity of those bonds. It is efficient in terms of interest cost savings to do that refunding now. You're allocating part of your, you're going to be doing, incurring issuance costs anyway. You might as well incur it for a larger deal rather than a smaller deal. So any questions?
I feel like there's some deer in the headlights.
A little bit.
And so I just want to bring out a couple points. It is an immense undertaking to do any financings. So that's why Joe and I had been leaning towards one issuance. However, the team when they talked about the refunding opportunities, again, these are bonds that we're issuing. Bondholders will expect a minimum amount of time that their investment can be held, and then once they become callable, then they can be refunded. And so we are reaching that point with some of the high school referendum bonds, coupling refunding those bonds with issuing new ones allows us to save on issuance costs. And so I think this really makes a whole lot of sense. Something that for me, whenever I was first getting into this business, that was a little bit difficult, which I'm sure that it can be difficult for some of you, the slide that had the level debt service. What that means is our payments, monthly payments or quarterly payments, annual payments that we're making to our to the bondholders are basically equal throughout the time period, okay? And obviously there's a portion that's going to principal, there's a portion because some of the bonds are maturing, they mature at different intervals, and then there's also interest. Obviously, the less principal you pay up front, the more interest you are paying over the life of the loan or the bond. But we also, since we're dealing with taxpayer dollars here, we can't afford to have our debt service go up and down. We need some budget certainty. So that's why we talk about that level debt service. We talk about that wrapping around so that as other bonds end those payments, then we can increase the payments for these new issuances. Another issuance in 2028 does make a lot of sense based upon the callability of additional bonds at that point in time. So we can have, again, one issuance where we're hitting two different purposes, funding the rest of Park Forest and refunding additional bonds should the interest rate market be volatile, available or in a good place. If we can't refund, we still just issue the other bonds. But what this will mean to your team here is that we'll load them up with a whole lot of information about the district. We'll talk to the Moody's bond rating agency, who they have given us great ratings in the past. We're going to have to use some finesse to talk about things a little bit differently because our situation is a little bit different because we had been, for the last several times that we've gotten bond ratings, we've been increasing our capital reserve. In order, even though we're leveling the debt service payments, we're still going to be using that capital reserve to help pay for these projects. And so we're going to need to talk about that. But the high level of support for education, the ability to raise taxes here to meet the needs of the school district is very beneficial to us. These are things that you used to have to say, Tom.
I love this.
But I can share those now, and I appreciate all that they've done to help us. We will have a local market, correct, for the bond sale here in State College in the area for those that are interested in buying bonds. That's been something that we've done since the referendum debt for the high school. So we'll load them up with a lot of information, go through the bond rating process. Then we'll have a rating call where we find out what our rating is. Then we'll do a pricing call, and they'll work all of their magic and do all of their business to try to get buyers into the market, talk about the school district and the bonds that are going to be available. And then we'll have money probably about the time that school starts to continue to pay the bills for this project, which should be underway at that point in time in a sizable way. So I know that CJ's probably thinking, you've told us a lot, but I believe that many of you have not been through this process. And it is, I used to have board members ask me to compare and contrast to a mortgage for your home. It's money, it's debt, you pay it back with interest. That's about it. It's a very different process. But we've been through it a number of times. We've had this team for a number of times, so that gives us a lot of confidence. They know whenever we call and say we have an issue, we need to talk, they understand that, and vice versa as well. So I think that's about all that I have to say, but I appreciate their patience. 21 versions for Park Forest is nothing compared to what I did for the referendum for the high school project. But we're glad that we have come to this, but understand that they're in touch with the markets each and every day. So if there's something that comes up, again, they both know I like plain vanilla. I don't like to get into any fancy scenarios in our financing, because that to me can be dangerous, because we are talking about public dollars, taxpayer dollars. So please understand that that's what I represent for you and for the taxpayers.
Randy, you're gonna see how many scenarios one of these days. I've got all the records on a single spreadsheet.
So,
Okay.
Any other?
Yeah, Deb.
Sorry, I always have a question. So with the refunding of the referendum debt, right, there will be some cost savings that we will pass on to the taxpayers. I wanted to say that again. There will be some savings that we can pass on to the taxpayers. I'm curious, you said it in terms of millage. Can we equate that a little bit to a percentage?
Not yet.
Not yet. And then when does that hit?
That won't, because we'll be issuing these bonds after July 1, it won't occur till July 1 of 2027.
Okay. So then.
But they will get, the taxpayers will get the full impact of that
Sure.
savings even in 26, 27. We're legally bound to do that.
Okay,
It'll be all of the savings go back to the taxpayer.
definitely.
Yes.
So you can say that louder into your microphone.
It's all the savings. Any savings we get in refunding that, we just reduce every year's debt service down by whatever it takes. And so that way, the folks who paid for it and who obliged themselves to pay for it will see the benefit of that.
Yep, Jackie.
So just to kind of bring it back to a big picture, when I look at the debt service chart, you've had conversations the past 14 years about saving room for Park Forest Middle School, but this looks like there's not a whole lot of room until 2051. But can you just say out loud how this relates to our district-wide facility plan and the bigger picture of what we're doing with facilities in the district?
If I can ask you to hold, let's see if there's any other questions.
Sure.
Because that's the next step.
Oh, fantastic.
Transition question.
Okay.
I was trying to help you segue.
Well, I just want to make sure that we don't have any other questions and have to go back.
Other
Anybody else?
questions?
Okay. So,
If I could-
segue.
If I could
Oh.
just ask one really quickly.
Sure.
Because I'm not as familiar with the bond process. Since we're doing two issuances, if interest rates are lower by the time of the second issuance, you can't refinance the first one? Is that correct?
No, I'm going to give you a short answer. So there's, as Randy said, there's what's called a 10-year par call on issues of this size. Smaller issues, you might have a shorter par call, which allows you, which gives the investors a minimum amount of time that they get the benefit of the deal that they strike with you.
Okay.
There are many other techniques to do that before that 10-year call, but we won't talk about them here because I don't think you want to use them.
So noted.
They're not plain vanilla.
Yes.
Okay, all right. No rocky road for me.
Okay, so again, going back to Jackie's question, so, and you're right, there still is a lot of debt service, but that's why we have the capital reserve fund. We have $60 million right now in capital reserve, and that's after paying for all of the Mount Nittany elementary bills to date. What will, for Park Forest, we'll stop paying, once we issue these bonds, we'll stop paying for Park Forest project out of the capital reserve, and we'll intentionally draw down on that capital reserve each year to help supplement our debt service. Where does that leave the rest of the plan? Well, part of the plan is what Mike calls his 10-year capital plan, that he's talked about the work that we want to do to keep our buildings from needing to be renovated wholesale through wholesale renovation. That means that we're going to go in and do a lot of systems, and it may look like we're doing some serious renovation, and we will, but that would be your HVAC, your lighting, your ceilings, your floors, and your windows in large part. But we have a plan for that. It may take a little longer than 10 years, but we have a plan for that. And we have included in that 10-year plan a playground renovation each of the next 10 years. It also includes athletic renovations to what you have in existence now, updating those. Does not include a renovation to Fairmont. It does not, if you choose to do one. Don't want to assume that you're going to, but if you choose. Does not include a large wholesale refurbishment of Community Field. And it does not include the transportation center, which we had discussed previously as a proposed use for the current Park Forest building. Those would need to be outside of the 10-year capital plan and outside of this debt service. But depending on how things play, there could be some money still left in capital reserve. So does that help you?
Yeah, I just wanted a big picture
Yes.
snapshot, so I appreciate that.
Right.
Thank you.
And again, today, there were 3 spreadsheets posted as attachments that you may not have seen, and I apologize. I thought that they got posted on Friday, but that was my error in judgment. But what they are is showing you that what the line that's important is the deferred maintenance line. On the first 2 pages to show what we have in our projections now. The second one is moving up to $7.5 million by $1 million increases until we reach that level. And then the third is where our capital reserve is right now projected. And unfortunately, it by the late early 2030s, we do still have a $15 million fund balance because we've needed to use that. But again, if we're able to structure things well, if we are able to take advantage of better interest rates, if we have years where we can put money back into capital reserve, it'll be a different picture. But you as a board have a lot of decisions to make. Right now, hopefully the decision you're going to make is to accept the Park Forest bids, to empower us to go out to obtain financing for this, and then we have these other conversations that we need to have, and we'll discuss more of those in the master plan discussion in just a few minutes.
All right. Other questions? Going once,
So
going
we're not
twice.
done talking about this. We are done tonight, but we'll be back. They may not be in person very often, but the other person that's part of our financing team is our bond counsel. And we are working, and we will continue to work with her as well as Mr. Etter, to make sure that everything is done to the T. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Fine. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
This time, we're going to move on to our Facilities Committee. Randy Brown and Mike Fisher are going to join us to review components of the district-wide Facilities Master Plan, leading to proposed 10-year deferred maintenance plan and specific facility renovation recommendations. And I just want to hold this up because it's a big, this is the thing right here. This is the Facilities Master Plan, the official. It's exciting.
So thank you. Again, I'll vamp a little bit. I'm getting pretty good at this. But what Aaron showed you is the full master plan document. That is, a master plan is our assessments of our facilities. That includes athletics, our school buildings, our office buildings, and our playgrounds. Those assessments help us to prepare for our 10-year capital plan. They help us prepare for earlier for Mount Nittany Elementary's addition, for the Park Forest renovation, and they will help us to prepare for some of the other decisions that I just talked about, mostly pertaining to Fairmont Community Field and to the current Park Forest site. So Jeff has a small presentation that he's going to go through here as kind of a culminating effort. Because this master plan includes layouts of our buildings. It is not on the public site. Anyone, the memo says it, but also, and please, if community members ask about it, we will have copies here, hard copies here, that anyone can come take a look at it at any time. But there was too many floor plans to block them out, like we did whenever we did we do the small presentations for you here. We're not hiding it. We're very willing to share it with the public, but we just are protecting and in using good security measures. So Jeff, thank you for being here tonight again.
Hi, everybody. As Randy mentioned, we're going to really about 14, 15 slides, just a quick overview of the feasibility study and all the work the last few years, as well as meetings with you and the community. And roughly the total feasibility study is just under, I think, 450 pages. So we'll hit that at a high level. Just organizationally, it's set up as executive summary. We go through demographics, educational program for the district, current enrollment, building capacity as it's being utilized today throughout the district, and that has to do with what Randy had mentioned. Really, we delved into to each building, how it's educationally being utilized by your staff at this snapshot in time, and then that tied into the overall capacities that we're going to speak on briefly. A lion's share of the feasibility study, if you go through it, is really the facility assessments. I'd say that's easily 2/3 of the report, and that's photo reports on each building, as well as cost data that feeds into the 10-year capital plan, ultimately, that Mike's team will utilize. We then had that tie into construction options. Obviously, a lot of the discussion the last few years has been related to Mount Nittany Elementary School, with the addition for both capacity as well as accommodations for special education in the district, and then the recent Park Forest Middle School project bids that are being presented to you this evening. There's also components in the study related to the greenhouse gas emission inventory and site assessment for the playgrounds and athletic facilities, which Mike has previously presented to the board. That's sort of tied into the overall report. So an example of the final floor plan for Mount Nittany, where essentially we added both the cafeteria, kitchen, and third classroom wing, as well as a special education component to the overall building. But really, the special education expanded throughout the entire building of how could we distribute those services to all the occupants of the building and move students around quickly, whether, as an example, if they have an IEP, moving to learning support, things of that nature during their school day. Ultimately, then, this falls into, actually, I think before we even started detailed discussions of Park Forest and Mount Nittany Elementary School, we first started a few years ago with Dr. Witham with our office, looking at the capacities of the buildings, and then how do your elementary schools feed into the two middle school components. And this is sort of a summary slide that you see. Now, this is based on Department of Education. If you would have 25 occupants per classroom, no district typically in the state acts like that. Very often you have lower student capacities in your building, but just utilizing that, it helps show that generally Park Forest and Mount Nittany are both hovering around 72 to 76% capacity for those buildings. You will see the one anomaly is, or two anomalies actually, is Spring Creek Elementary has a higher capacity. And so they're depending as Mount Nittany comes online next year for the start of next year's school year, there may be some adjustments on populations throughout your elementary schools feeding to Mount Nittany Middle. And then also you'll see Coral Street, and this is, again, I mentioned earlier, we sort of a snapshot of time for that we're gathering this data. Originally, we were showing a potential enrollment of 179, which was driving down the capacity of Coral Street. We believe that will be at a higher number as the next school year begins. And so actually, both middle schools will hover around that 75% feeder capacity. Okay. And then just the overall both site plan for Park Forest Middle as well as the floor plans, which we have talked about at many, many meetings and many community meetings, but just sort of a, again, a snapshot of that. And then what I mentioned as a lion's share of the feasibility study is these assessment of each of the buildings throughout the district, and how does that fall into your facilities and operations team of spreading that work over roughly a 10-year period. And not that you, and I think Mr. Brown, when we started, mentioned, or in the last presentation, you may not do all of the work within a 10-year period. You may actually, we may get 5 years out, you may get 8 years out and decide that some of the components actually will last longer than anticipated, but this at least sets that plan in place that then you can also tie in with your financing for the district, so that you are not surprised if an HVAC system has to be dealt with, flooring needs to be replaced, a roof, any of those components, and how do you spread those dollars out over time. Some example snapshots from those assessment narrative reports, really both in detailed explanations as well as photo reports, documenting that moment of time for each of the buildings. And we're really looking holistically at all systems from the site, the envelope, whether it be roof, windows, doors, masonry on the buildings, then moving internal for finishes, flooring, ceilings, mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, really looking holistic. An example of the current usage of Park Forest, I'm sorry, I'm looking at your buildings holistically, both with your elementary schools and the renovations that have occurred really over the last 24 years, starting in 2002 to today, where we're finally addressing the district is looking at Park Forest Middle School, which Tom rightly mentioned earlier, when we were talking about the the high school in 2014, Randy was repeatedly, and the administration was bringing up Park Forest, that would be 10 years or 15 years in the future, which we're now at that stage for planning purposes. Okay. And just some excerpts from previous presentations with all of you. And then again, that evaluation of the different categories that we were looking throughout the district. So, and as mentioned, just like we were looking ahead 10 or 15 years to the Park Forest Middle School project that we're at now, you're looking, part of the feasibility study is that 10-year capital, but then what might be other projects in the future that the district's going to undertake, whether it would be a project at the Fairmount building, whether it would be something with your transportation facility, or other components throughout the district. Those are built into the overall study for planning purposes. And then in addition, looking both at your playgrounds, athletic facilities, and what might be the costs of those, and then also including maintenance of those facilities over the life. Okay? And that is really an overview of what's in the document. Again, that's available for all you to go through. As Randy mentioned, that typically is not distributed for security purposes because of the sensitive, detailed information of how your buildings are being utilized day to day. And we really see that occur with any district throughout the state of Pennsylvania. So open it up to questions that you
Jen,
have.
go ahead.
I just had a question about whenever you're looking at the Delta facility, since that's a middle school and a high school, I'm assuming, is that kind of lumped into the second high school building when you're talking about?
It should, I noticed that too.
Okay.
It should be considered a second high school, third middle school, but it's just titled as a second high school.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, that's a small nuance. It's a little bit difficult. We even dealt with that on the high school. Technically, because of the 5th through 12th grade component of Delta, it's actually by the state of Pennsylvania. It's a kindergarten through high school facility. So.
It's just 6th grade now. We did have 5th grade. Yeah, we're down.
That's
to
right.
6. No, you're fine.
Thank you.
You wouldn't have needed to know that, but yeah, we're at 6th through 12th now.
All right. Other questions, comments?
So again, I kind of gave a precursor to some of this presentation because the last two have been kind of lumped together. But Mike and I expect to be back with further conversations, and not only for funding but also approval of projects and things. But right now we really need to focus on Park Forest. But Mike has a very keen eye on the Fairmount building because we don't want it to get. We don't want to decrease the condition, the usable condition of that building, but because of avoidance. So we'll be watching that as well.
And then, like in the past, if board members would like to review this, we're going to have we'll have a copy of it or two in the office that you can review it here in the building for security purposes.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We are moving on then to, we're already on facilities. Mike Fisher is going to remain to provide us with updates on the district's Energy Star score and upgrades to the natatorium. We always hear about the natatorium.
Okay, just wanted to give a quick update. Trying to do this every few years. We put this Energy Star score memo out April of 23. So I had been here about a year and a half at that point and thought it was a good time to kind of put it back out 3 years later. So we've included the scores from 2023, including the scores now. So, kind of for the most part, our scores are increasing. So that's a good thing. It shows we're becoming more efficient. Mount Elementary did kind of come down a little, but I would attribute some of that to the construction going on until it comes online. And then, Panorama Village, keep in mind 1 or 2, 3 points really isn't, it doesn't move the scale or move the needle that much. And then to put it into perspective, I included our total electricity usage, kilowatt hours, along with our gas use in therms, which is 100,000 BTUs, to put it in perspective. So, our electric costs are risen some, but that's because of price increases, certainly not because we're using more electricity. So, and as Park Forest Middle comes online, even though the building is almost twice as big, I would anticipate the energy use to be very similar to the current site. So, questions, concerns?
Questions for Mike about Energy Star? All right.
Okay. And then the natatorium. So it was asked a while back about, kind of total cost of ownership over the natatorium. So back to 2010, and kind of gave, through the accounting software, and kind of gave, all the categories from capitalized equipment right down to printing and binding. So you have all those costs and see you can compare. And then just wanted to note, so so we're upgrading the HVAC, which if you go back to the Energy Star score and look at North as being really low, that's a big contributor of that is the natatorium. So anyway, so we put out some specialty items that were going through a CoStar's contract that were already approved by the board. And then there was a kind of a bid piece to that, refurbishing kind of the vault the pump sits in and the old filter wood, the boiler, heat exchanger, kind of that kind of stuff. We had no bidders on the project, but it was an odd project. So what we're doing is we're trying to find some contractors to do what absolutely needs to be done to do the upgrades to the filter system and the chlorine system, and then probably bundle the mechanical systems at a later point and put it back out to bid. So just wanted to give the board an update on kind of how we're attacking that. So.
All right. Yep.
I just had a question about the line item periodicals and
That's what I was about to ask.
I was trying to figure out what that was for.
So a lot of like lifeguard training books and the classes. So keep in mind there's an educational piece to the natatorium, not just for the sports. So the people that run that piece of it, the instructional piece, that same budget.
Yep. Jennifer.
Also on, you called on me, right?
I'm sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's okay. Also on this, the dues and fees for the years change. Like some years it's $10, some years it's $167.
Be my guess who was coming up for renewal for any kind of certification.
Okay.
The years where you did significant work, obviously the offsets from rental weren't coming anywhere close to that, but there were many years where you didn't have that kind of work. Mm-hmm. How close are you getting to offsetting those years with the rentals you have?
With the rentals?
NLAC, for example.
Not
much.
No.
I wanted to express appreciation. I had no intention of having this come back so quickly. I was the one that was curious about how things had gone over the long haul. So I think it's helpful. We've had those 2 years of big outlay, but we've managed to get, if my math is right, a decade beyond that and still haven't had to repeat that quite yet. But I know there are probably some costs upcoming. So it's just helpful to have a sense of the, on average, annual costs aside from when we have a big capital outlay. So I hope it wasn't too much work to pull together. It's helpful, I think, to understand how that part of our facilities works within our system. So thanks very much. That's all.
I can go back to 2003 if you'd like to see 3 through 10. Okay.
Other questions or comments for Mike?
Maybe this is a general question. I'm just curious, why does a project receive no bidders?
There's a few different reasons. One is if they're already busy for the summer. We have a very tight window that we have to meet, so that's the challenge. And so we try to get projects out as quickly as we can. And then, this one, again, there's a lot of different trades on it. So let's say replacing a boiler, for example, it's pretty cut and dry. This one, for example, had some kind of specialty items, epoxy coating the vault, sandblasting it, some welding, some structural items, along with mechanical. So that's probably part of it. And like I said, we're gonna try to get done what we have to get done for the new systems, and then kind of package everything else a little bit nicer, I guess, or just mechanical product to put it back out.
To what you just said, isn't it a pool at my house? Like, I can find a bunch of people to do pool, but to find like the size of the systems and what you need, it's a lot harder to find someone, especially in this. There's not as many that do the commercial grade and higher.
Right. There's not, but the bid package that was put together wouldn't be pool contractors, for example. The specialty stuff we had to kind of do off to the side because there is, like you said, there's one guy. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mike. It looks like we will wrap that up. That concludes the committee of the whole portion of the meeting. We now have time for additional public comment. Is there anyone in person who would like to make a public comment? Is there anyone joining remotely who would like to make a public comment? All right. In that case, yep.
I know we have some people in the audience that are interested in the bids, and so they were a little confused whether they should make public comment now or after we discuss the portions of the bids. And so I would suggest to them to wait till we discuss the portion of the bids. There'll be another opportunity before we vote on it for you to comment on those things. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just
that's fine.
wanted the audience to be clear.
Yep, once we get to the action items. Yep. So next we'll move on to the consent agenda. This includes several items that we'll address in a single motion for approval. To facilitate any questions or discussion, we'll go through each category individually. Board members, please raise your hand if you need clarification for any of the items as I present each group. First, we have consent approval of the minutes from our past few meetings. Next, we have consent for operations. Any questions or clarifications? Okay, and Deb's not here. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't remember which section it was in. And I don't know that Tanya's necessarily here for that, but I was just a little curious if anyone could clarify about the sign language contract. Is this for additional services? I know we have had some services in-house before, so I didn't know if this is like an adjunctive addition to fill in gaps or for other needs, or I just was a little bit the sign language contract, and you may not know, and it can be something that is a follow-up later. I don't really have a problem with the contract per se. I just was trying to understand and recall what we already had arranged in the district and what this is in addition, or what gap it's filling for us. That's all. I'm sure there's a gap somewhere. I just was trying to understand better.
I can answer.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Tanya.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So we have wonderful people who are certified in certain types of sign language, but not other types of sign language. For example, if we have a performance and we need a sign language like a musical, that's different even than graduation. So that's one thing. And then it's also to fill part of a gap for summer work as well. So
great. That's
Does
really
that
helpful.
help?
I think it's important for our community to know there's more than one thing. So I really appreciate that. That's good clarification for me as well. So thanks so much, Tanya.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, very welcome.
We're on consent for operations. Another comment? No. Okay. All right.
Just so that voice came out of nowhere.
Yes, the voice from above. Consent for instructional programs, we have student travel. Questions about student travel? All right, I'd now like to call for a motion to approve the consent agenda items 10 through 12 as presented. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Huff so moved.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additional questions, discussion, or comments? All right, is there any public comment about tonight's consent agenda? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda is passed. Moving on to action items. We have several action items this evening. Agenda item 13A is a motion to approve an advanced driving assist system for the CTC Career and Technology Center. This is shown in attachment 13A. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Anderson moved.
Huff second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this? Jesse?
No.
All right, seeing none. Is there any public comment about this action item? All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is carried. Agenda item 13B is a motion to approve the base low bids for the Park Forest Middle School project. This is shown in attachment 13B. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions, comments, discussion about the low bids? Randy's here in case. All right. Is there any public comment about this at this time? Did you want to make a public? Alternatives? Okay, very well. No public comment? Okay. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That item is passed. Agenda item 13C is a motion to approve the recommended bid alternates for the Park Forest Middle School project. This is shown in attachment 13C. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Huff second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion from board members about the bid alternates?
Being things are slightly tweaked from presented, does administration want to at least kind of outline them briefly for the public, not in depth, but just that there was a change in one of the recommendations?
I'm sorry?
There was a change in one of the recommendations from the presentation last meeting, so I just thought it might be prudent to point that out clearly for the public. All right, it's on the agenda.
Should we just go down through each alternate?
You don't have to. I'm just one of 9. It's kind of a big deal.
No, it's no problem.
It just seems like.
So one is unclassified construction. So if we hit ground that's not suitable, that we don't foresee, it's basically an insurance policy that the contractor at a certain scope will eat that cost and won't be no more cost to the district. 2 is an external storage area attached to the school. I think our last meeting, Jeff was here. We mentioned that the square footage cost of that was far less than the actual building, so we felt that was worth it. Rejecting the terrazzo flooring, number 3. Then we have 2 for kind of the bird-friendly glass. The last meeting that we asked about for some more information, I was in touch with our bird group out at Spring Creek, and we kind of talked through, again, the options after the fact of basically some dots, that sort of thing on the glass, or some strings that come down. So we're kind of working through that, but administration took a look at it. And it looks, is recommended an acceptance of the glass on like our larger plates, kind of what we feel is of the higher risk for bird strikes. Number 6, it's roof insulation, so it was an extra $300,000. It was around $300,000 basically to add insulation at the roof line on top of what code requires. We did some quick math, and the payback on that is really long. So it's going to be a very, very efficient building. We didn't feel like the extra cost was actually worth the squeeze and energy savings over the course of time. roof warranty, so it was an extra 10 years on the roof warranty for $300,000, which again we felt was certainly feasible, right, at the cost of putting a roof on. So I lost it here for a second.
Roof stair?
Oh, yeah, the stairs.
Yeah.
So this is, instead of having ladders everywhere to climb up from one roof level to another, it's basically, they call it a ship's ladder, or it's kind of a semi-stair between a full set of stairs and a ladder. It just cuts down. I mean, it creates, it's a safety hazard, right? Because guys, maintenance techs are up on the roof. They're carrying motors around, compressors around. It gives them kind of a set of stairs instead of a ladder to try to carry up and then rope something up. So,
Are they fixed or mobile stairs?
they'd be fixed.
Oh.
The snow melt system. So we felt this was important. The majority of this is out front of the school. Kind of, there's a lot of steps, kind of the large step array going up to the front entrance. That's where the bulk of this is. And this will prevent any ice, any snow buildup on those surfaces whatsoever. Just with the sheer amount of steps there, and credit to Jeff's team, it was tough with the elevation changes on the site. As we've talked about several times, between the parking lots and the classroom towers versus kind of the admin area. We felt this was important for safety perspective, and there will be some cost savings from labor, salt, that sort of thing as well with it. The solar array, the 688 kW. Like I said, the math comes out at around less than 10 years for a simple payback. Generator capacity. So this is one kind of just putting generator capacity, build it in so that we would not have to rent a generator. For example, we rented one at the high school. It was a megawatt generator. There's not many of those around, which is we need something of that scale at Park Forest Middle. So when the power goes out, everybody's looking for a big generator. So luckily, last time that happened, we got what we needed, but there's no guarantee we will next time. The retaining wall, we kind of spoke to this. This was kind of an updated design that was put out there, so it could save some money here.
I think the last.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
The direct digital control system. We're going to keep, we're not going to recommend this. We're going to keep what's AOC and NextGen throughout the district. And AOC provides the framework right now for our technicians to be able to read kind of the programming, adjust it, and just makes troubleshooting and actually getting repairs done quicker and cheaper than a NextGen system. NextGen is coming out with kind of the same programming style, but they weren't quite there yet. So that's kind of the quick and dirty on the alternates. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. I thought it was a good idea. And for board members who haven't done the alternate, this is a lot of alternates for a project compared to at least other projects that I've done. Or been involved in voting on, and so the process is kind of like messy. We had a good discussion, and I think there's likely a lot of consensus to do this as a whole huge lump, but just for future reference, if ever there was like one of these that you wanted to not approve this list of, you could always ask for it to be pulled out and voted on separately as whole as a board. And I'm not suggesting we do that with any of these necessarily tonight, just logistically. It's a pretty big, long, extensive list, so I just want to make sure we're all clear that a yes vote is to approve the whole package as a whole, and if you don't want to do that, you have to speak up and ask for something different. That's all. Just thought, and I thought that's important for the community to understand too, that we're accepting the list as a complete list. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Other board comments, questions about any of the alternates? All right. Public comment about bid alternates. Now is your moment. Please come on up. Tell us your name and where you reside in the district, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Constanza Ehrenhaus. I live in Wolfsburg. I'm part of the Bird Club, the State College Bird Club, and also I'm part of the State College Committee for Birdtown, Pennsylvania, which is a consortium of municipalities trying to make cities more bird-friendly. I came talk to you about, I guess, 3-4 years ago by now, when I introduced the idea of using bird-safe glass. The thing is, we are building walls of glass. We don't have to, but we choose to because we like all that light, and the birds cannot see that. I understand that you have changed the recommendation to accept one of the expanses. There were 2 that were suggested. I would like to see all the school windows being bird safe. I understand it might not be in budget. And I wanted to offer, as part of the Bird Club and of Birdtown, Pennsylvania, to try to work together to see how we can make this happen for the 2 expanses of glass that were proposed initially, maybe through writing grants or maybe through doing fundraising, because there is quite a bit of support from the community, and see if we can just help the district to make this happen. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Please tell us your name and where you reside in the district.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
My name is Richard Novak. I live in Benner Township. I work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I'm an endangered species biologist. Like Cody, I was here a few years ago to express support for the bird-friendly glass initiative. And really all I'd like to do this evening is just offer some technical assistance from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in considering those plans. It sounds like there's some other groups in the community also offering that, but Fish and Wildlife Service, we've got tools for evaluating birds or buildings for bird risk, so we could provide that service to the plans for the middle school. We've also got resources on the different options out there, and I know cost is a big consideration for the district, so we'd be able to work with you on reducing those costs and making it as affordable as possible. I've been a part of a number of bird-safe glass installations at schools across Pennsylvania and in other states as well, and for me, really the benefit is twofold. The first is these methods are really effective at reducing bird collisions, 95% or more reduction in bird mortality typically across the different methods, and then lastly is the educational benefit. This is a building where thousands of students are going to be passing through for many decades into the future, so the educational return on that is going to be pretty large as well. I've got some business cards here. I'd be happy to be part of the conversation on bird safe glass at Park Forest Middle School. So if there's someone I can leave a few of these with, that would be great. And thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comment, Mr. Novak. Is there any other public comment about the bid alternates this evening? Anyone online? No? Yep, go ahead.
I was just going to, just in follow-up to our commenters, and Mike, I guess you can speak most of this. I know installation wouldn't be for some period of time. So theoretically, if there was a massive donor that suddenly stepped forward and said, hey, I will pay for all the bird glass that you're not paying for, that's not outside the realm of possibility to come together, aside from timelines and not disrupting, supply chain issues and things like that. Would that be accurate to say? I don't want to promise anything to anyone, but I also don't want to say, hey, if someone stepped in and said they wanted to sponsor that and do that, that we wouldn't at least open the channels to discuss it if it's possible.
We could certainly have a conversation. I don't know what the lead time is on the bird safe glass, so.
Absolutely, right.
I can't speak.
But also we may not be breaking ground for a little bit. And yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to make sure that options are clear and people can have conversations if it's appropriate and worked out. Makes sense for everybody? Okay.
Okay. Any other comments?
So you mentioned we can pull this piece out and vote on the rest. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, so the recommendation is for the large expanse. If you wanted to pull out the section for the stairwells and vote on that differently,
Is that possible?
that would be my,
I think that would be a board vote. It would-
yeah, Scott's our parliamentarian,
Oh, of
but,
course.
yeah, I think typically, there would have to be I think you're right. I think it would have to be a move to pull it out, and it would have to be supported by a majority of the board, and if that were the case, then that would work. Yeah. There's a step process to it, but yes.
Yeah, we do need Scott. So I think Rob could offer that as an amendment to this action item. We would need a second.
I don't know what the amendment, like, which
Yeah.
one are you, can you tell me which
Yeah,
number
yeah.
you're?
Do
Like,
we
what
have
are you-
already?
I would like to pull out number 4, reject bird-friendly glass 4A,
Oh, okay.
and vote on that separately.
As
Yeah, it would need a second.
okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do you want to discuss the reasoning?
I would like to consider this if there's a possibility that there's ability to get grants or some type of fundraising towards it. Maybe it is a long shot. I do like the argument that this is an educational space for students, and design matters, and the things that we build matters to students. So.
Okay. Other discussion? Yeah, Deb?
I wondered if Mike or Randy could share the thoughts that the administration talked briefly about last time. Like, my understanding was you were recommending a rejection of the stairwells and such because those would be easier to retrofit. So we weren't giving up the possibility of making it bird safe after the fact. We were interested in exploring less expensive ways of doing it. Secondarily, just not using bird-friendly glass up front in the construction. So I just want everybody to understand, even if we vote to reject that particular expanse of bird-friendly glass, it doesn't mean that we can't go ahead and make it bird-friendly later, right? And I don't remember the cost differences of that. We had asked if there was any more information that could be shared, and I don't know if there was any more information that could be shared.
Not much.
Okay.
So, like I said, I did reach out to the club that I've met with to look at Spring Creek. And, I asked about some costs. And I might have to get some clarification, but to put it into perspective, to do the high-risk areas of Spring Creek, which those large expanse glasses are mostly like the stair towers, right, the big corners. I'm guessing for under $5,000.
Okay. And so I guess,
So just to put it to give you some sort of perspective on cost, right? So, and again, this is really just a shot in the dark here as far as costs go. Looking at Park Forest Middle, let's say it would be 30% of the cost of putting in the glass itself. Now, when it's integrated in the glass, we don't have to do anything, right? Running strings or small dotted stickers. I have absolutely no experience to that, so I can't speak intelligently on the lifespan of such. And if if they're second floor windows, then a lift is involved, rental, that kind of stuff. So that adds to it. I'm sorry, I don't have more information
That's okay. It's okay.
out there for you.
thanks.
I just, the qualification would be, though, and the reason I disappointingly don't necessarily support pulling it out is because if we accept the stairwells, that's a commitment. That means even if we don't raise the funds for it, we have to do it. Like, it's a commitment right now to do it. And as much as I support these efforts, and I do think they're important, and certainly wanted, my dad was in construction. I like doing things right, optimally the first time and when possible. There's a lot to balance, I think, in doing that. I think we use that $100,000 number a lot. It's a professional staff support of 1 year, roughly. And so that it's always a push-pull for me. So, I brought up the whole pulling things out just because this was a lot of alternates in one session. I just want board members, as they experience this process for the first time, to understand options and choices and how you can go through that process. But I hesitate to say that to vote to do it absolutely, not knowing that we have the funding alternatively as opposed to doing it within. I was the one that brought up and felt pretty strongly that I wanted us to really strongly consider approving the large expanse, and it's a hard needle to thread, and so that's kind of where I'm at personally on it. If we can at least do that big glass, I think that's worth that expense, and if we can make something come together in time for those stairwells, that'd be awesome. If we have to look into other approaches, that's possible too. I think the hard question is, which is most cost effective, and unfortunately, I don't know that we have excellent data on that for our situation in this project.
The biggest unknown I have is the longevity.
Right.
Right, of doing it after the fact.
So just as a reminder, since Scott just came back, we are currently discussing an amendment to take out is it number 4, reject bird-friendly class 4A from the bid alternates and vote on it separately. That's what we're currently.
It's a motion on the table.
Yeah, motion on the table. Any other discussion about this? Comments you'd like to make? Yep.
Okay, just so I make sure I've got this correct. The original plan to reject the glass for 4A was so that we can come back at another time to vote on if we can add additional bird glass once more information is being done as an optional alternative, or something like working with Fish and Wildlife Fish and Wildlife to do something learning in the school that they could create something to put on those windows. Like something else could be possible with it. And that's why we're rejecting it, because it's $100,000 to spend on the main glass windows that we know we should do something about. But the rejection one, we're rejecting because it's something we're going to try to come back at later with more information and ways to possibly do something with them. Correct? Is that what you said the last?
If the board
do I have
so
that?
chooses, yes.
Okay, that's kind of what you were kind of summarizing.
I was just saying we're not precluding the possibility.
Right.
But we are not obligating ourselves to take advantage of that possibility either. But if we reject it now, but I think this goes back to Amy's
If
first
we pull
question.
it out and we voted to accept it, then we're obligated to put the bird glass in
Yes,
for sure.
but if we pull it, I mean, the first thing we have to do is just vote on whether or not we're going to pull it out. I'm happy to pull it out, and then I can vote however I want on that. Like, that might be the cleanest thing, to do anyway. But if we vote to reject that alternate now, then although it could be possible to make a change to add it back in if we worked really fast to get funding, my guess is that's unlikely.
Well, I mean, I don't know that.
But I
it's-
don't know.
I don't know that. I don't see any. As Randy, the business office, he's an issue with at some point during the project before the glass is ordered, a change order issued for the change in glass type.
The price may not be held.
Gotcha.
It won't be held, right?
Right. Yeah. So it would be a
It
different
could be
price.
held for a short period of time. I'm going to define the short as in less than 6 months.
Yep.
Probably significantly less than 6 months. So I think that you need to decide tonight, yes or no. And your administration made a recommendation last meeting. We responded. We're sticking with that recommendation.
It's fine with
Randy,
me.
I just got one question. If we keep the bird glass and we still fundraise, can those monies be used for the bird glass that we have already purchased?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like Deb's idea of agreeing to pull it out so that we can move forward with the alternates and then vote on this separately. Does that sound?
That is the motion on
That's
the
the
table.
motion. Exactly.
That's the motion
yes.
on the table.
Motion on the table. Okay. Any other board comment about that motion? Do we need to do public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this particular motion
To pull it out.
to pull out this one item? Okay. In that case, board members in favor of pulling out the Reject Bird-Friendly Glass 4A from the bid alternates and creating a separate agenda item?
Yeah.
All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That motion carries. So that will be taken out. And so we are back to the original motion to approve
Can I get Ann's vote?
oh, sorry, Ann?
Yeah, I voted in favor of pulling it out.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So that brings us then back to the original agenda item 13C, the original motion on the table to accept the recommended bid alternates. And I believe we're
With
still.
the exception of 4A.
With the exception of 4A, correct. Or 4. Any further board discussion on that? In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is passed. Okay. Now, does that get put to the end of the agenda, or is?
No, do it
We can
now.
do it now. Okay. In that case, item C2.
Yeah.
In that case, agenda item 13C2 will be a motion to approve, disapprove, a motion to reject.
Why don't you do it as it's written?
Okay.
Reject the bird-friendly glass.
Okay, a motion to reject the bird-friendly glass 4A. Do I have a motion and a second?
Anderson moved.
Huff second.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Board discussion about this particular item.
Sorry.
Can we have a reminder how much that span of glass costs?
102. Right? Yep.
102,000.
As I was not able to attend last meeting, would you be able to do a quick, tell me why you were wanting to reject it?
Because we have attempted to start using these features in other buildings. They seem to have a lower cost. They may have some maintenance. This is a new technology, a new feature, and we are trying to hold cost.
Other comments? So if we vote to reject this rejection, does that mean that we have accepted it?
Yes.
I
don't-
it like this. A yes, no. A yes vote means this.
I just want to make sure everybody knows what we're voting on.
That's why you should usually frame motions in the affirmative. So it would
Well-
be a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to reject this item, is the way I would have phrased it.
Okay, well,
I like that. Can we make a friendly amendment to phrase the motion
I'm
like
okay with
Scott
that.
just said?
yes.
So you say without objection. Yeah.
Without objection?
Yeah.
A motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to reject this alternate.
All right, it is now in the affirmative. Thank you, Scott. Okay. Other board comments?
Can I just confirm so that if I vote yes, I am supporting the administration rejecting?
Yes.
I got that right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. But that doesn't mean later on we might be able to, through fundraising, actually do it. That's within the realm of the possible.
It could be done through a change order, yes. May not be for the same price, but we don't know
For
that
sure.
it won't be.
Okay.
Or it could be these aftermarket ideas that we're potentially going to try at other buildings at a much lower cost than buying the glass.
Excellent.
Any more clarifying questions? Is there any public comment about this new agenda item? All right, seeing none. Again, board members in favor of accepting the administration's recommended rejection of this bird glass alternate, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
All right. That motion carries. All right. I think we're okay. Getting back on track. Agenda item 13D is a motion to approve an MOU for a mental health clinician with the State College area, with SCAEA, State College Area Education Association. This is shown in attachment 13D. This is an MOU. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Anderson moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this action item? All right, very well. Is there any public comment about this action item? Seeing none. Board members in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is passed. Agenda item 13E is a motion to approve upgrades to the Mount Nittany Elementary Playground. This is shown in attachment 13E. May I have a motion and a second?
Huffston moved.
Damaris second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this action item? All right, is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is passed. Agenda item 13F is a motion to approve lighting upgrades to the North Tennis Court. This is shown in attachment 13F. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Anderson moved.
Barlow's second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion about this action item?
Just a big thank you for like finding a path forward on this. That is gonna be great.
Okay.
Not, yeah, like serves as the maintenance cost, and for a little bit more than the maintenance cost, we're gonna get new lighting. So that's fantastic.
Good. Other comments? Is there any public comment on this item? In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That item is passed. Agenda item 13G is a motion to approve the permission to bid additional projects for 2026-2027. This is shown in attachment 13G. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Huffston moved.
Bader second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have questions or discussion about this action item? Deb?
I actually just had one question on the Easterly Parkway restroom. I'm assuming you're not plunking a bathroom exterior to the current footprint. So what space is going to be utilized for that?
It's the current music room that they're changing into a specialty instruction, breaking it up into 2 or 3 small groups. And it's actually directly above the staff bathroom downstairs.
Which helps with the plumbing. Yeah. And if it's the current music room, where is the music room moving to?
I can't answer that.
But clearly there will have a music room.
I would, yes, I would assume so.
Yeah.
But she has requested to move to a different room, and so they're going to take, that's what they're doing the work with Mike. They'll make that move next year before the renovation, my understanding from Mrs. Henderson.
Okay, thanks.
What did you say?
I just
come to the.
Sorry.
Yeah, come on up.
Well, Mike wasn't.
Well, I caught some of it.
So my understanding is before Mike had even met with Meredith, the music teacher had requested a larger room, and they had been looking at that as they are continuing to look at movement. We are, of course, moving the MDS room this year to Mount Nittany, so we're freeing up space there. That music room is smaller for the different instruments and the different housing, so they had already planned to move it, and the staff have continued to go to Meredith regarding the restroom, so it does make sense that it goes there. They are very, very limited in that building with restrooms for both students and staff.
Other questions and discussion? All right, is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is passed. Agenda item 13H is a motion to approve a utility consultant. This is shown in attachment 13H. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion about this action item? All right. Is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That item is passed. Our final agenda item, 13I, is a motion to reject bids for district generator tie-ins. This is shown in attachment 13I. May I have a motion and a second?
Huff so moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion about this action item? Is there any public comment about this action item? No. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That item is passed. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Looking ahead to future meetings, we have on May 18th, 2026, a budget hearing at 7 p.m. here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. Immediately following, on May 18th, 2026, we will have our regular board meeting here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. And then on May 19th, 2026, we have Policy Development Committee meeting at 10:30 a.m. here in the Panorama Village Boardroom. I would now like to adjourn this meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. Have a good evening, everyone.